Okay, so with key cutting, it's all about the price. Most people who are cutting keys are not really interested in cutting it for the love, they're actually interested in cutting it to make a profit. So you need to know what your keys are actually worth so that you can accurately charge your customer. First of all, you start off with your car keys down the end here. A car key like this will set you back starting from about $2.50 from our Dr. Lock shop. They do go up in price depending on the make of the model. But for a metal key like this, you can save between about $2 to $3 per key. That's what it's costing you, plus your key cutting machine. Standard keys here are generally about $1 to about $1.50. More fancy keys like this will cost you $3 to $4 once again, but they do allow you to charge a little bit more because they've got the plastic head on the top and they look nicer and they're easier to use with the large key head. Fancy keys like this, you're looking probably about $6 or $7. Once again, the more the expensive the key, the more you can charge the customer, so they're more profitable. Same amount of work, but more profitable, but a little bit higher to purchase. Then you get fancy keys like this. They're getting close to the $10 mark, and well, they're $10 to purchase, anywhere from $6 to about $10. And you also have other keys like this this football type key as well. So there is a variety of keys you can cut to increase your profits. Which allows you to do the same amount of work on the same machine but earn more money. I've seen places sell this type of key here for up to about $20. These keys here for anywhere from $15 to $20 as well, and these keys for up to $10. I've seen some places charging about $10 just for one of these standard ones as well. So it depends on your market, where you are, the availability, what your competition is and things like that. But be aware that if you are in an area where there is competition, try and get there, find out what their prices are, and stick to the same price. We see time and time again one person cutting a key for $8, the next person comes along and says I'll do it for $6. The other person has to make money and they say, well, we'll match it, we'll do $5, and they say no, we'll match it, we'll do $3, and then we're down to $2 before you know it. And basically people aren't paying the key machines off, everybody's struggling, and it's not fair, and it just creates division between people in the same trade. So if you find you're next to a shoe repair guy and he's cutting keys for $5 and you're going to be just down the road, best just talk to him, say g'day, and say you know, maybe we'll trade keys if you're stuck or I'm stuck, and let's keep our prices set, because at the end of the day key cutting is about making money, providing a service and making money, and keeping price in mind. You want to be getting your full price and not having to go down dollar by dollar with a bidding war with your competition down the road. So if you're in an area where nobody is, sure, you can charge more. If you're in an area where other people are, it's worth considering what the going rate is in the market and not undercutting it, because it really doesn't do any favours for anybody. It just means you have to cut twice as many keys to get a return on your key cutting investment. Let's talk about something a lot of people don't want to talk about now with key cutting, and that's returns. So let's say that, for example, you've cut a key, a customer's come in, you've duplicated their key, you've given them the duplicate key, they've gone back and it doesn't work. Now, using the standard method of cutting the key on the shoulder and using the back of the key to line it up, if that doesn't work, if it's a cheap Chinese lock or some sort of imported lock, sometimes by lining the key up on this bottom edge here, it doesn't work. The actual shape of the key, where the key actually sits inside the brooch, which is, it might be, most of the time it should be lining up from here, but it might actually be lining up from here now if you're using a cheap type of lock. So if the customer comes back and says, hey, it doesn't work, there's a few things you can do to eliminate errors and to find out what's going wrong. First of all, you can try just simply, instead of holding it on this bottom groove here, you can try holding it in this groove here. Now, to do that on this key machine, we would be using the jaw, which would be holding it along this bottom edge here. Then we would line it up just the same using our shoulder. We'd be lining it up using our shoulder, and we would be clamping it, instead of clamping on this bottom edge, we would be clamping it in this V section here. This allows the key to be lifted up and line up from the actual groove rather than the bottom. In some locks it does make a difference. So if that happens, try lining it up using the V jaw on the top and putting it in this section here. The next reason this can happen is you might actually get cheap keys. For example, these ones are quite cheap here, this brand, and what I've noticed is that every time you try and duplicate it, just by putting it and lining it by this bottom edge, every time you'll find when you measure it that this key will be undersized, and if you cut it using the V method, yeah, they line up perfectly then. So the first thing is to do, if you're in a rush and your customers come back and says it doesn't work, you can try that method. Second method is you can actually find out what's going wrong with your key. Here's a little tool. They're about $30–40 from super cheap auto places like that. Vernier calipers. Okay, very useful for key cutters. They don't cost much, and it's worthwhile having a set in your shop. You can actually measure how deep each cut is. Go through and then compare it against your key. Okay, and if you find they're significantly different, you should either check your key cutting machine, or perhaps you're using two different types of blank, two different quality of blanks. For example, one made in China or one made in Italy, there will be a difference. The one made in China will be more lightweight, less material. The one made in Italy will be thicker, more longer lasting and stronger, and of course perhaps a little bit fatter in different areas. So you can use vernier calipers to see if you're actually lining up or not. From there you can work out as if your key machine cutter is worn, and you can also calibrate your key machine to do so. If all else fails, you can use your vernier calipers and you could compare it against a set of space and depth keys. These are about $40–50 from our website as well. Go to drlock.com.au, go to shop, and then look under keys and space and depth keys. You can purchase a set of these for the most common keys that you cut, and then you can actually just measure what the exact cut should be. I've got 621 there, and then I go over to my key and I can see where it is. Where's the 621? Oh, I don't have that number there. But take that for example. If I've got 738 there and the other one said 621, we'll know we're out by quite a distance. That's another way of doing it as well. Once you've got a set of space and depth keys, you can measure exactly how deep those cuts should be. It also allows you to see the spacing as well. You can get this space and depth key, put the other one over the top of it, and simply shoulder to shoulder, and just have a look to see that all the spacing is correct, you know, that those grooves all line up and consistent. Space and depth keys might be a little bit of overkill, but they do give you a very good resource to work out what's actually gone wrong and why your customers brought the key back. So first things first, I would do is I would have a visual inspection of the key. Then I would go, I'd have a visual inspection of the one they brought back. And if all that fails, you've tried the visual, you've tried recutting it a different type of way, you've tried to measure it, everything seems okay, and they've brought it back for a second time, I would recommend that you ask them to bring the lock in. Once they bring the lock in, if it's possible, then you can see exactly what's going wrong with it. One more important thing to note as well, if you've got a key that's come back, make sure your one that you've duplicated is long enough. Very common problem that people cutting a 5-pin key, sorry, a 6-pin key, cut it on a 5-pin blank, and the key is actually not long enough. So you line them up shoulder to shoulder, just in your hand, and make sure there's enough meat on the key or length on the key to be able to cut all those cuts into the key. Very common problem, but cause of a lot of callbacks if you don't pay attention. So in this example, we're going to have a quick look at key quality. Keys may look the same, they might be same color, same shape, same numbers, same everything, but where you get your keys from does make a difference. If you purchase them and they're, let's say from China or some other country that's trying to make as much money off it as possible, your keys are actually going to be thinner, weaker, and you might save a few dollars, but in the long run the customer's getting a lesser quality product. Using good brands always makes a difference. This is a Silka key right here, made in Italy, as where this one here is a Pro key, made in China somewhere. So the difference on the strength of the key and the weight is a difference. From here I can feel it breaks quite easy. This one will break as well, but it'll actually take a little bit more. Okay, so they both will break, but you can see one has more meat than the other. To really demonstrate that, I would actually have to measure it. The difference is not much, but at the end of the day, the difference will be whether it lasts 4 years or 10 years or 15 years as a key that your customer uses each and every day. So a couple of cents on good quality key blanks will save you time and money. At least then you know that your key blank is good when you're giving it to the customer. Also, if you're cutting keys on cheap quality key blanks, a lot of the time they don't line up the same as well. So if you put it in the base of the actual, when you line it up, if you put it in the jaw and you duplicate it, it looks all perfectly. It's when it goes into the lock itself that these particular keys, the good quality ones, are thicker. So where I'm talking about is these grooves here and here, okay, and even this middle one here. Sticking with the standard size, the good quality one, means you've got half the battle won. If you use the thinner ones, the smaller ones, it can make a difference on the height of the key and the way it is in the lock and the way the pins actually line up as far as the height of the pins. So good quality key blank, spend the extra 30-40 cents, definitely worth it, and will save you time and money as far as getting recalls and keys coming back to your shop. And now we're going to talk about quality in key machine. This particular key machine is, I believe, about $4,500. It's worth every cent. The quality of the cutter, the quality of the guides, the quality of the carriages, ergonomic design, lighting in the back, easy use, buffer, all the safety features that can be on a key machine. Definitely worth it. The less money you pay, the less quality you get. So the other key machines which I've demonstrated as well, the automatic ones, those ones are about $5,000 a piece as well. Definitely worth it when you're cutting keys, and when you consider that you're making $5 profit, cutting $20–30 a key, it doesn't take long, to actually pay a key machine off. If you try and get into the market using something too cheap, you're going to give yourself troubles. On saying that, you can get good quality key machines we sell on our lock shop, starting from about $1,000 to $1,500. Similar type of package, only different brand, but they're actually quite a reasonable brand. You don't need the top of the line like a Silka. Silka is one of the Rolls Royce in the industry. They're a high-end machine used for locksmiths and key cutters who use their key machine 100 times a day. You don't need that much, but on saying that, you don't want to go too cheap. When it comes to parts as well, on a good quality machine like a Silka, parts will be available. With some of the cheaper machines, parts are available, but often they're overpriced as well. When you're talking a cutter, it can be up to about $200 to $300 for a good quality one, for a quality machine. And I've seen some of the cheap Chinese machines, cutters going up into about $200 as well. So at the end of the day, if you're paying that much for parts, you might as well have had the good machine from the start with the quality parts. Because even though you're paying so much money for the Chinese parts, doesn't mean you're getting any more in quality. It just means that by the time it goes through one party to the next party, sent overseas and then retailed back to you so you can purchase it in Australia, you're going to be paying a premium for it. So a good quality machine with good quality parts, you do get value for money. If you go cheap and nasty machine, you still have to pay for expensive parts, or some of the parts you do buy aren't accurate as well. So it can cost you time and money in the long run. Okay, that's probably the best angle there. So now we're going to talk about servicing. With a machine like this, the first service you should do on a daily basis is actually clean all these nooks and crannies down. Cleaning them all down, keeping all the swarf in the tray, and keeping it as clean and tidy as possible. One of the next ones you should do is actually keep your jaws clean. So to do that, you would simply remove the jaw. I'm only doing this on this particular machine as an example. Your machine might be slightly different, but the same rules apply. You actually do have to clean them. So you take off the top one, you lay them down on a bench. These parts are expensive, so don't lose any. And I'll just grab one more tool. Now the tool I'm using here is a toothbrush. You want these jaws to be nice and clean. Okay. It includes underneath it as well. This is quite a new machine, still got a little bit of grease there. This side as well. Making sure you put it all back the same way. And tightening it up. Okay, so key machine adjustment. With each machine it is important to know how to adjust it. Refer to your user manual or the instructions that came with your machine. On this particular machine here, we simply need to back off this Allen key on this side here. We load up our vices with 2 blank keys, as you see here. Then we bring up the shoulder guide and line them up just as normal, making sure the key machine is off. Then what we do is we can actually lift the, I'll put this in manual mode, we can lift the blank key on either side into the key machine and then rotate this until you can see it's actually getting close. To simulate how close it is, what we need to do is we actually need to rotate the motor. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to turn it on this side here, turning it with the nut, not the blade, and then I can actually just turn it, lift it. I can't hear anything, so I back it off a little bit. Now I can hear it actually cutting, so I turn it 2 more times. Now I can't hear anything. Turn it once more, and if you hear that, that's basically just taking off the chrome off the key. If you were to cut this whole key, you'd see it take off exactly half of the chrome off the key, if not all of the chrome. And if you really want to be precise, you can use vernier calipers. So what we'll do is I'll simulate that for you. We'll just tighten this up now. We've got the correct depth we're happy with. Nice and tight, because we don't want them moving at any stage. Safety goggles back on. Turning the power on. We'll turn this over here. Turning the power on. I'm going to engage this carriage. Okay, engaged. Power's on. Now I'm actually just going to cut this key, but I've actually got 2 blanks in there. And that sounds pretty good. When it actually cut a little bit deep there, you could hear it because I was pushing a little bit harder. Now if you can see that there, I know it's very hard to see, but I'll see if I can highlight the points you should be noting. About here we've taken off about half the chrome, and here where I pushed a little bit harder, I've actually taken off the chrome completely. Now if I want to compare that to exactly how accurate it is, I can simply use my vernier calipers, measure the spots that I've cut, 865, compare it against the blank key, 873. So from there I can adjust up or down to get it exactly spot on. Keep in mind these are vernier calipers, you don't need to go to the 100th of the thou. Okay, I just want to make one quick more reference to a key reference book. This one is downloadable from our website. This is a keyline key reference book. We also do sell keyline keys as well. Keyline and Silka are virtually the same, different brands but both high quality. So this one here allows you to go through when you're looking for a particular key. Let's say for example you're looking for ILCO number 4. You can see that the keyline equivalent is LKW5, referenced on page number 11. So you look up which particular number you have on the back of the key, whether it be a Silka. Take for example here, MS3 equals MST 2S, and that's on page 12. When you flick to page 12, you find the key that you were talking about, MST2S, and it also shows the references here. It shows your profile, which is here, and it also shows you the key, and you could put your key over the top of it to see that it's the same size. It also shows you the length of the blade on it as well. So all of that information there, very helpful when trying to work out your customer's key or when reordering. When reordering, we have access to all of these keys and more. This is just a small example. Fancy keys, car keys, long keys, short keys, any type of key you want you can purchase from our website. Now if you are purchasing from our website and it's let's say this key for example, you would simply go to small keys. You would see that it's not listed because it's not a common one. Then you simply enter in order from the key number. You come down here to either Silka or Keyline and you type in YA13 and the quantity that you want, and then we'll post them out to you. So it's as simple as that to order more keys when you need more keys. And some of the keys we have the fancy keys, standard keys with plastic head, identifiable, car keys, both with plastic and non-plastic, and of course your standard type of key which is used all day, every day in every house. Okay, so that's our training video on how to cut a key on a standard key cutting machine. I hope it's been some help to you and some use to you, and I hope it helped you start cutting keys and making profit straight away. Keep in mind, if you do want to purchase any key machines, please go to our lock shop, which is drlock.com.au. Just go to the shop, and then from there you can go to machines or tools, and you can see all the key machines we have available. We also do have keys available under keys. Just go to the key section in our lock shop. For further information, please email, and if it was a help to you, please give it a thumbs up.